eyes going all soft around the edges. "Well, no wonder you always seemed so shaky at school. From snake to kid to college in, 6 years?" "8," Skylar said. "I was 20 when I started college." "You definitely don't look like you're 2 years older than me," Brady said with a soft laugh that made Skylar feel warm, his skin prickling. So much better than the cruel snickers he'd gotten used to from other shifters while trying to catch up and learn all the things they already knew. But he'd had his siblings and his parents, who had always helped him and assured him he was learning crazy fast. "I bet that's part of the reason the pups have taken to you so quickly. Kids always seem to sense kinship better than adults." Skylar smiled, ducking his head to look at Hansel and Gretel, who clambered up his legs eagerly, reaching up with their front paws braced on his chest to lick his face before they ran off again to attack unsuspecting lengths of rope. When Skylar looked back at Brady, he found himself the focus of a strangely intense stare and a soft smile that made his stomach turn and flip. Brady seemed to shake himself. "Anyway, I brought this up to ask if you'd been involved in any of this. I hadn't noticed you at any of the rallies, but I also don't have time to attend all of them myself. I thought you might have crossed paths with someone there who thought to use you. I'm honestly at a loss otherwise as to how they'd think of you. The connection is a bit far-fetched, but it's all I could come up with." "I don't really go out much, though I think one of those things was going on the last time I went to see my parents. They live about an hour from here, and I went to spend the weekend with them, since my mom kept complaining they never see me anymore." He smiled, huffing a soft laugh. "She tried to load me up with food, but I can only eat so many casseroles before even I get sick of them." "My mom is like that, except she makes me do the cooking," Brady said with a snort. "At least with snakes, it's pretty typical for you to go your separate ways. A wolf leaves the pack to strike out, and you'd think it's the end of the damned world." He rolled his eyes. "Anyway, did you talk to anyone? Run into anyone who was wrapped up in the whole new versus old feud?" Skylar shrugged, tracing the rim of his mug with one finger. "Just the woman who is always fighting with my parents because she doesn't approve of lost shifters. She's the reason so many people think I'm evil. One time she came over to the house for one of her stupid official visits, and she was asking me so many questions and scaring me. My mom was ready to kill her. We sat down to dinner, which was my favorite, and when she asked what it was, my mom said it was mouse and frog casserole, and went on and on about picking the right mice and frogs, and seasoning, and how well they all enjoyed it. The woman got so pissed and kind of green-looking, then she just stormed off." Brady laughed. "I'm guessing she was some council goon. They always get pissy about the Lost Shifters Foundation. Oh, man, to see her face. Must have been a no-meat type of shifter. What was it really?" "Lasagna, but made with white sauce because I didn't like tomatoes much back then. It's still my favorite lasagna, though we always call it mouse and frog casserole." "That's awesome," Brady said, laughing even harder, hastily setting his cup down when he almost spilled it all over the laptop. "Your parents kick ass. I mean, man, I bet seeing that bitch again was all kinds of fun. As in, not." Skylar made a face. "She asked how I was faring living all by myself in the woods again, and if I was remembering to turn human at least once a week. I keep telling her I prefer my human form, but she never listens. She started in on one of her rants, and I walked away. Mom said later it was the funniest thing she'd ever seen, a grown woman shouting like that, so wrapped up it took her a minute to realize I wasn't there anymore." "I bet," Brady said. "What's her name?" "Mrs. Gray." "Gray? Are you shitting me?" Brady asked, and began to type furiously on the laptop. A couple minutes later, he shifted to sit right next to Skylar, resting the laptop on their knees where they were pressed together. He jabbed a finger at the screen. "Is this her?" The pleasure of sitting so close to Brady withered when Skylar took in the gray-haired, sour-faced woman, forever captured mid-rant by some newspaper photographer. She was wearing one of her suits. Skylar had always wondered if she slept in them. It was gray with lighter gray stripes, form-fitting and with lace at the collar of the shirt beneath. Her hair was pinned back, and she wore glasses that seemed meant for peering over the top of. Despite the restrained appearance, there was something in her anger-contorted face. The way she clenched her fist and threw one up in the air as she screamed at someone that said, "Wolf." "Yeah, that's her."
Maya Gray. She's the older sister of Micah Connors. Gray, obviously, is her married name. She and her husband Ronald are pro-tradition. They have one of the most old-fashioned pacts in the United States, right down to even limiting interactions with ordinary humans. They live a bit further north, though still in the Appalachians, Tennessee, I think. But they're back down here because of the huge rally happening next month. All the little ones are just leading up to it, feeding it. All kinds of wolves are in the area for it. This rally could change everything. A whole bunch of other shifters are gathering just to see how it all plays out.
"My parents were talking about it," Skylar said. "They're kind of nervous because people are afraid of snakes, so snake shifters wouldn't be well received. As much as they support change, they fear that snakes will be shoved out of sight if and when shifters go public. They want full and fair representation for all shifters, and they're worried it won't happen. Wolves, for instance."
"Yeah, there's a lot of wolves that don't like snakes, and we're a pretty big force. What we say tends to go, but not all wolves are like that. The Connors aren't. My folks aren't. Hell, our Alpha's best friend is a Taipan he met when he went over to Australia several years ago. That was the talk of the wolf community for months."
Brady frowned at the screen, clicking through various tabs, all of them showing more of the rallies, reports about the ongoing debates in the shifter community.
"I'm going to guess running into you gave her, or someone connected to her, the idea to drop the pups in your territory. If she's in the area, she would have visited her old pack, if only for the sake of formality. I can't imagine she's getting along with them right now, which is a pity. Don't betray pack. First rule of everything."
Skylar nodded in agreement, remembering all that his family had done for him, how he would still be eating mice and rabbits and squirrels, still feeling horribly alone every single day. But someone had realized he was missing and found him, because Pack didn't give up on Pack, even if snakes didn't call him Packs. "So does that mean they'll come looking for me soon? Find some reason to suspect me? How would I have gotten all the way there and back? Why would I go that far to bring back a couple of puppies to eat? If I get that desperate for food, I live in the woods. I know how to hunt, even if all wildlife tastes nasty, and I'd rather have McDonald's. I really miss McDonald's. There's no good place to get French fries out here, or apple pies."
"You..."
Brady broke off, shaking his head, but Skylar could see that he was grinning.
I'm not sure how whoever did this is going to arrange for everyone to discover you're responsible. We'll probably find that out the hard way. On the bright side, it's going to seriously screw up their "the evil snake ate them" plan when the puppies are alive and well and you've got me here with you.
"Why would anyone hurt children? Why would they think that's acceptable?" Skylar asked. "Children don't understand any of this. They have nothing to do with it. They want love and food and toys and a warm bed." He reached out to pet Gretel, who was fast asleep in front of him, nose buried in the folds of his jeans. His fingers collided with Brady's, who withdrew with a soft chuckle and shifted his attention to Hanson, cuddled up beside Gretel. "I don't understand what good it would have done to kill them. No cause is worth murdering children." His teeth ached with the urge to strike, to kill, but Skylar tamped it down. He wouldn't help anything by acting exactly like the vicious snake everyone thought him. Brady rested a hand on his shoulder and squeezed tightly, leaning in close so his cheek just brushed the edge of Skylar's shoulder.
"Luckily for Hansel and Gretel, whoever did this is stupid and doesn't realize all they did was guarantee the pups would be safe."
He withdrew, and Skylar felt suddenly cold.
"I'm going to go explore the territory, see if I can find any confirmation that the bitch was the one who dropped them here. I doubt I'll be that lucky, but I won't know until I try."
He closed the laptop and took their empty coffee cups. Skylar followed him into the kitchen, watching as Brady washed the mugs before going to the back door. On the porch, he quickly shifted into a beautiful, large red wolf, his fur a tawny cinnamon with black at the legs and the tip of his tail. He rubbed against Skylar's legs, then with a soft woof, took off across the yard and into the woods. Back inside, Skylar returned to the living room and lay down with the pups, warmth thrilling through him at the way they stood just enough to move closer to him. Resting a hand atop them, using his other arm as a pillow, he closed his eyes and drifted off to sleep. Surely a short nap wouldn't hurt any. He woke to his stomach growling and the pups playfully tugging on his clothes. Skylar sat up with a yawn and glanced around the room, freezing when he looked out the windows and saw it was dark outside. Had he crashed that hard? The smell of food made his stomach rumble again, and Skylar scooped up the puppies before wandering into the kitchen. "Smells good in here." Brady turned away from the stove, smiling, and all thoughts of food fled while Skylar tried not to stare at the damp, ruffled hair, the wonderful muscles accentuated by the tight-fitting navy blue tank top, the snug-fitting jeans, and just how comfy Brady looked in his kitchen. "Have a good nap?" I didn't mean to sleep so long." "I'm sure you needed it, after finding the pups and keeping watch over them, being worried about what would happen next. No one has called me so far with any updates, though I told my mom to keep me posted. I'm not sure if we should be relieved or worried. Dinner is almost done. Meatloaf just needs a few more minutes. You want a beer or anything?" Skylar nodded. "Sure." He set Hansel and Gretel down on the floor, where they immediately decided to attack the legs of the table and chairs, chasing each other around and through them. Brady pulled a can of beer out of the fridge, popped it open, and handed it over. "Thanks." Brady smiled and went back to the stove, fussing with a pot that smelled like it contained vegetables of some sort. Skylar took a sip of beer, trying to think of something to say that wasn't hopelessly stupid. He jumped, not quite yelping, when his phone suddenly started ringing. That was his parents' ringtone. Normally he'd wonder how bored his mother was, and if he'd be on the phone for 1 hour or 3. But in the light of certain puppies... Rushing into the living room, he snatched the phone up where he'd left it on the rug and hit the accept button. "Mom? Honey, are you in the cabin?" "Yeah, what's wrong, Mom? Why do you sound scared?" His words seemed to drive her to tears. "Baby, there are people here saying terrible things about you kidnapping some wolf pups, and how they might not still be alive." She burst into wrenching sobs that made Skylar sick, made his mouth ache. He was going to kill whoever had made his mom cry. "Mom, it's okay. You know I'd never do anything like that," he said. Movement drew his attention, and he saw Brady wander out of the kitchen. When he nodded, Skylar said, "Mom, it's true I have 2 puppies here.